So, hello again, everyone. I'm David Cooper, and this is Nimalika Fernando. And Nimalika, can you talk to us today about formative assessment and learning for assessment for learning, I should say?
Good to be here, Dave. Good to talk with you about this topic which I feel like I'm kind of interested in for some time. So usually when we're talking about assessment, what we have is like we focus on assessing students to check whether they have learned something, and mostly at the end of the term, end of semester sort of thing, mostly exam based sort of thing. So assessment is used as a tool to, as name says, assessing student. It's an assessment of learning, so whether they have learned something.
Yeah, so it's summative. We want to check, we want to verify they've learned something.
Whether, yes, we are, as assessors, we are verifying whether they have learned certain aspects. We check them, that's it. But sometimes, especially in units like computing, I feel a lot of learning happen within the semester, which we can assess, as well as that can be used as this assessment can be used as not just for assessing their performance, but as a learning task as well.
By the fact that they have to go through these assessments, but we want them to have an experience, a learning experience, as a result of the assessment itself. That's
exactly. So you visually, when you think about assessment, it's like very pressurized, and there's no support. Okay, somebody is going to test whether you learn something. But assessment for learning, no, sometimes use assessment as learning also interchangeably. So these kinds of ideas used to change that perception. It's helpful for student to face assessment as a learning task. So in that case, one main thing I try to focus is like certain concepts they have to know initial stage of their learning. But we are assessing whether they achieve them. But if not, that's okay. We are scaffolding them, and within the assessment itself, we try to help them and make sure they achieve that learning objective.
Yes. So, is there a role? There's a role for the. Every assessment has a certain amount of pressure associated with it, and is there a role for that pressure in the learning of what we want to teach them? Do they learn as a result of that, do you think?
Yes, that's by intention. Every assessment has, there's a pressure, but that is it's for motivate them towards learning. But initially what happens, they consider this also as normal assessment task. But when they are facing it, then realize it's different. It's different. So in my units, I use quite often practical tests. So they are continuous assessment. But in the practical test, it's not that they just set for the test and get a mark. So during the test time, we try to help them as much as possible if they seek help. They are like most of the time open book. They can access their own material, so restrictive open book, I would say. So what if students stuck at a question, we will say, okay, you may look at this particular area, you may revise that, but within that time period. But okay, this you should have done this earlier in this particular practical. Maybe you can revisit something like that. As well as some other areas also, we will sit together and guide them. So we are assessing, but it's not that we are not giving any feedback. That feedback is not coming at the end. We are giving the feedback while they are doing the test. So when they are ready to be marked, these are computer-based tests, so we will sit together, walk through the code and assess. But at that time also, we are ready to give feedback, and still if the student want to improve, we will remark.
And this is for database systems?
This is, this practice I specifically use for my database systems unit, because it's it combining a lot of practical aspect as conceptual thing. So when it comes to practical aspect, if they are like, it's built upon fundamental knowledge, then go to the next level, go to the next level. So
yes,
I'm trying to have several practical tests because of that.
So what they're doing is mostly writing SQL queries at this point, or they're doing more conceptual things as well?
As of now, they're writing mostly SQL queries. In some cases, they may have to think about like data types, conceptual ideas also, but not very deep, not much deviating from SQL, but within the SQL, say identify data type, suitable data type for particular attribute likewise. Mostly about SQL in this case.
It's interesting because I've always felt like the best way to get something done is to be a little bit pressured to do it, and that the problem with maybe the worksheets that we give students on a weekly basis, where there's no specific immediate penalty for them not doing that. There's also correspondingly a lack of motivation for them to do that. But if you sprinkle on just a few marks to the process, even if we're not trying to give them a final assessment, we're trying to give them some motivation to do that sort of solid learning. What's your idea about how effective that is compared to the practical worksheets?
What I feel is like from my previous few semesters experience, just having the practical worksheet only, so as you said, they don't have motivation, as well as there's no much opportunity for them to challenge themselves, because that practical worksheet may be very well structured, and then if they finally we may discuss answers, so that's that. But in practical tests, it's not one particular worksheet only. We will link certain areas of the unit together. It's a little bit thinking then.
It's join the dots as well.
Yeah. And then yes, we attach, okay, you are going to get 5 marks. From 100, 5 is small, but still it matters.
Yes.
We attach a little bit.
The interesting thing about being a student, I think, is that any amount of marks can be seen as important. And yes, that marks, we have 4 assessments for practical test. Each one I give 5 marks. But with time they learn, when they're doing it, it helps them to move forward as well. It's prepare them for doing their final assessment also. Definitely,
When it comes to later stage, so my final assessment also, instead of having a written exam, this is very practical, so I have take-home assignment. Open-ended sort of assignment, very open-ended. The student have to derive the questions also themselves type of thing.
Definitely,
So in order to attempt such very open-ended assessment, that all the practical tests, which they get a lot of scaffolding, a lot of support, and it prepares them to attempt something more challenging.
So they're confronting the unit at a sort of a higher level of cognition, ultimately in the end, which is great.
This is now it's reside in second year, second semester. Some people take it in first year as well, but usually by that time we expect them to have more of those abilities, high order thinking abilities, as well as databases. We have conceptual thinking part as well to design the database.
It's a unit that kind of straddles the different parts of the software process, I guess.
It's a combination of so many different things. So having this assessment, I have midterm examination. That is the only exam, proper exam test sort of thing. But for that also, I like to attach more feedback. Now the way I'm doing it, it's difficult to give individual feedback, but I try to attach
the feedback again. I guess from what I remember, what you're finding is that the really tight feedback cycles are much more effective than having students submit a big thing and then waiting for weeks for some kind of response.
I think that's the main idea.
Yeah.
So integrating that feedback cycle early in the learning process, and it's a continuous thing.
Mm.
It's not a big work they submitted, and afterward they receive the feedback. While they are doing the work, we give the feedback. So then we give more opportunity for them to improve.
Yes. How does this scale? Like, I know database systems is quite a large unit. How do you find the workload of this?
Yes, it's quite interesting actually. It's become a very large unit now. So earlier it was like we have small classes as well as labs also. We have 24 students maximum in a class. Now with large numbers, luckily we have labs which can accommodate around 96 students.
The
super lab, we have 96 students, but when you're having practical tests, so I had to get support from my tutors very much. So in this unit, actually, the teaching team become, I'm not saying other unit is not important, but it's very, very important
Mission
part.
critical,
They are doing a big role because we need them in the practical test day, definitely, and I try to use at least 8 tutors, or if possible more than that, only for the practical test days. So then for 24 students, at least 2 tutors would be there to help them. And so they are playing vital role. So they are guided, they know about the process and how to handle this thing. Little bit of like, I'm not saying that a proper training, but kind of training there. So otherwise it's difficult to handle this sort of thing because it's
a bit of a high level, and I guess it's a bit intense for the staff as well.
Yes, it's a bit tense for the staff, definitely, within that short time, like so many questions asked and need help. And then what we're trying to do is within first 40 minutes or so, in the 2-hour sessions, we let students focus and do the work, still they can get help. Then we start marking, but while they are marking, we still help them, that sort of thing. Actually, staff support and that other resources is really, really helpful. Otherwise, we can't continue.
Yes, that's essential, I guess.
So I talk with like people who take decisions earlier. So when I was changing the units, that in order to have this sort of assessment, I need support of more tutors.
Yes.
I had to train them, and like they are also passionate about the process because they are also learning something.
Yes.
They become part of like big learning journey of students. So
I guess as long as the support is there, everyone's going to have quite an interesting and fulfilling experience, I would think. So they are so far they are quite happy about it, even though it's challenges. Sometimes what happens is we don't let people to face challenging situations. When they face the challenge, it's quite going on well. And for test, I have like prepared answers, sample answers, or things there, but it's not just a sample set of answers, so they have to use their thinking because each student question might be different. Do you find that some of the questions are similar, so that there's a kind of economy of scale?
Yes, some of the questions in initial test are very similar because it's about syntax errors, mostly missing a comma or like semicolon. And in SQL, first few tests, it's more about like the basics.
Yes.
But once they know the basics, rest is challenging. But mostly about that sort of errors. So this is a common one. But then more challenging one, like when you're doing like subcareer sort of things, or then specific technicals.
Yes.
But
you have to keep a bit a bit more technical modelling in your brain, I guess, when you're looking at that.
So my tutors actually they contribute very much, even though we consider it's only a like class, it's assessment also happening within there. So it's yes, bit of work is there. Commonalities are there, so then it's a good thing is some tutors continue, so then 1 or 2 semesters they know like okay these are the common questions.
They've got it down.
Done. And knowledge transferring also happening. Then I try to always have some experienced tutors, some new tutors, and different coming from different backgrounds, industry people. Like I try to not blindly select tutors. I try to select tutors coming from different backgrounds.
It's quite good to be proactive about that. And the diversity of backgrounds is probably quite helpful. Yeah.
It's quite helpful. There are some tutors who have done this unit some time back, and then there are some tutors who have done this as a postgrad unit. So then different level of like experience, engagement. I try to bring all this thing and ultimately to support students in their assessments.
I remember, I'm just when you're talking about the tutors helping and answering questions, I remember back to when I was running around an introductory Java class, fixing people's code in one of the introductory pracs, and you can quite quickly get used to finding the missing semicolon or the extra semicolon, and a student will be sitting there and their code won't work, and you can come over and just point to the screen and say there's a semicolon there, and it's quite gratifying to be able to get to that point actually.
It's a same sort of thing. But I tend to tell students, don't worry. So we have been doing it for some time, so we can see. Don't worry, you will be also there. It's not that you like you're just learning. You're starting your learning journey, so you miss it. It's quite natural.
Yes.
So it's as a learning process. So next time, you will notice like this tiny.
They have to kind of take it on faith that they're going to get better, I guess. But then they do get better, and then everything is okay.
And from tutor's perspective, it's quite satisfying.
Yes.
Oh, you look at the screen, you know this is there. This is what happened.
Yes, when you discover why the problem is the way it is.
And what I try to do is, instead of letting students stuck in that place, I can't move forward, I don't know anything. So if they submit it like that, they are not going to get any marks, and it will be very demotivating.
Yeah.
That's not the whole purpose. Let's learn together.
That's really valuable. Yeah.
It's a learning process. You learn by doing this.
And not only, but you get that emotional hit, like the dopamine hit from succeeding.
Yes, you started feeling like they can't do anything, but end of the test, they achieve high marks. Yes, it's with support, but that's what you want.
Still, that's the learning process.
Because they are the one who doing it. It's not that tutors or like we are not doing anything. It's like we are guiding, we are helping. And regarding my final assessment also, when I introduced that, I was also like thinking so much whether it would be too much challenging, but then I got very positive feedback, at least from some students, because they felt like they learned a lot.
Yes.
I think that's something really good. By doing the assignment, if they learn, that's what we want.
To do.
That's what we want.
Yes.
Because assessment is not for just checking their knowledge; it's for learning. If you feel you learned something by doing the assignment, of course you will get good marks also, but you have much more satisfaction and feeling to move forward. So you build the self-confidence.
Confidence, yes.
You build the confidence that you can do certain work related to database system yourself. I think that's what we are aiming at.
And the confidence as well is important in its own right, isn't it? Because if you don't have confidence, then you won't go to the next step. You won't, even if you have the knowledge, technically speaking, you won't want to apply it without the confidence to apply it. But I think, thank you so much. I think we can probably leave it there.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Dave.
It's been an education.